Hey everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for our weekly favorite tracks of the week segment, where I recommend a bunch of tracks to you guys that caught my attention this past week that I thought were particularly good. Now, per usual, if you want to support this segment, there's a link down there in the description box. It is our Amazon Associates link. Anything you buy off Amazon, if you live in the US, we get kickback from it. Does not add to your overall price. Use it to buy some shit you were going to buy anyway. All right. Now, also, before we get into the fave tracks, usually what I do in this segment is list out to you guys some tracks that I didn't like this week, the worst tracks of the week segment. Now, before we get into the worst of the worst, there are always a couple tracks that I tell you guys that maybe I didn't like or I was kind of underwhelmed by. A lot of you guys were asking me about this new Earl Sweatshirt and Knxwledge track, Balance. It was a new Adult Swim single. Really one of the more underwhelming tracks I heard this week. Not the worst, but it's just kind of like this 1 minute moment that is sort of unambitious and depressing as usual, like Earl Sweatshirt songs tend to sound. I don't know. I just don't really have any feelings on it. You know, I mean, it certainly sounds unhappy, but there's not really much to it flow wise or instrumentally that I'm like, wow, this is a track, man. This is a track. Just really, you know, kind of indifferent toward it, to be honest. Then some of you guys were asking me about the new Metallica cut, Hardwired. I thought it was okay. You know, it's not terrible. It's not great. It's just kind of all right. The band is really throwing things back to a more classic thrash sound, and it just sounds okay. Some of the people who I saw reacting to it on Twitter were saying the lyrics were cringy, which, I mean, these are kind of like standard thrash lyrics for like the 80s and 90s, and I don't know what the hell you're talking about. You know, they're edgy, they're kind of dark, they paint a negative portrait of the world. I really don't expect anything else from a thrash song, but whatever, there you go. So yeah, I'm pretty indifferent toward that track. No real feelings on it, honestly. It's not great, it's not terrible. I certainly like it more than some of Metallica's 90s and 2000s output. It's passable. That's what I could say about it. And the new Pixies track, Talent, was kind of passable too. Definitely not one of the worst tracks the band has put out since they kind of reformed and started releasing music again. But I think they have a while to go before they're actually putting out some music that I'm actually entertained by once more. Now, as far as the worst tracks this week, got to give it to the new Touche Amore track, which featured Julien Baker. This cut over here titled Skyscraper. To me, a track that not only would I not want to hear from Touche Amore, but really any band in general. It's just kind of like this washed out, bland, overly reverbed indie rock track that has no propulsion, no guts, not the intense sense of passion I usually get from a track from these guys that I usually enjoy from these guys. Usually like to listen into their lyrics too, but those are kind of washed out with the reverb. Just not getting the appeal of this track, especially given that it's coming from this band. Just kind of sounds like another faceless indie rock track that just uses too much effects. But the worst track this week has to go to the new Crystal Castles song, Sadist, which is one of many teaser tracks that have been leading up to the release of this new record, which is out now. None of which I've liked, but this one kind of takes the cake. Not only because the vocals are so faint, they're barely there. It's kind of like a stowed away, hidden away Alice Glass impression. Synths that are so rough and distorted and trying to be so goth. It's like painfully edgy. It's like kind of now that's what I call edgy. They're so ugly and distorted that it's like Ethan Cath is just trying to force this dark mood into the track that's just really not there. And that's really all I have to say about the cut. You know, there's nothing really appealing to me too much about these new Crystal Castles tracks. But I will sort of update you guys on that further as I gear up to review the new full-length album, which I am going to do, so don't worry about that. Now, as far as tracks I want to recommend to you guys this week, we have a new cut with Kool Keith with MF Doom. The album that it's coming off of is titled Feature Magnetic. The song is Superhero. And of course, with Kool Keith and MF Doom sort of borrowing a lot of their shtick, a lot of their gimmicks from comic books and from superhero and supervillain lore, that track comes together very nicely. Moving on, we have Ka, gritty New York rapper whose sound is typically very low-key, very dark, very moody, does not disappoint on this new track over here, delivers what he usually delivers with the same level of lyrical detail and storytelling, and it's actually tagged with a really sad, heartbreaking animated music video, sort of showing this cycle of drug dealing, committing crime, going to jail, family destroyed, next generation repeats that process, and so on and so on and so on. It's, again, really kind of a tearjerker. Moving on from there, we have Dumbfoundead, who just came out with a new track titled Harambe. It's a fun, fast, hard, plucky little freestyle. No issues with that track, really. Danny Brown came out with one of the darkest, most despaired and tortured tracks he's ever released in his whole career with the song Pneumonia, which features, I think, like some ad-libs and some input from Schoolboy Q, which is pretty cool. Sun Kill Moon, I Love Portugal. Mark Kozilek comes back with another very wordy track. This one has a little bit of a political angle. Of course, there's some funny and witty lyrics on this one. He seems kind of like he's on a real tear with these new tracks. With that track that he did about Michael Jackson, where he was just really ripping into Michael Jackson and Michael Jackson fans and all that stuff. And it seems like he's just really taking no prisoners with this new set of tracks that could possibly be building up to a new record. So again, entertaining output from Mr. Kozilek there as usual. Isaiah Rashad, TDE member, comes out with a new track. I'm liking these new singles. They're not as laid back. They're not as chill. They're not as glazed over. They're not as forgettable as his past efforts. He seems like he's more amped, more energetic, more in your face. He's giving you a reason to listen to him. He's demanding your attention. And I'm liking it, you know? And we're going to end things off with a track from the Thrill Jockey discography, a new record coming on the way from the group Wrekmeister Harmonies. Some Are Saved, Some Are Drowned. That's the name of the track. It is a abrasive noise drone sludge hybrid that is going to melt your face off if you turn it up loud enough. And there you go. Those are my tracks. Those are the songs I wanted to recommend to you this week. Those least favorite tracks, avoid those if you can, but try them out if you're morbidly curious. And that's it, guys. All right. Also, that Amazon Associates link, again, it is down there in the description box. If you want to support this segment, hit it up. Anything you buy on Amazon, if you live in the U.S., we get kickback from it. That's all I got to say. All right. This has been the Favorite Tracks of the Week segment. I appreciate you watching. Appreciate you. Papa bless, as Ethan over at H3H3 would say. And we are going to leave you there. Hope you have a good rest of your weekend. Hope this coming week is good. I'm going to review the Frank Ocean. Don't worry about it. I'm going to review the Frank Ocean. 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 I'm going to review the Frank Ocean.